Jean Allefonsce. Jean Fonteneau, did Alfonse de Saintonge, also spelled Jean Allefonsce, or João Afonso in Portuguese, also spelled João Alfonso, born circa 1484 in Portugal, died December 1544 or 1549 off La Rochelle, was a Portuguese navigator, explorer and corsair, prominent in the European Age of Discovery. He had an early career in Portugal and later served the King of France. Early years and personal life. Born João Afonso and later known in France as Jean Fonteneau or Alfonse of Saintonge, he married a woman named Victorine Alphonse, Victorina Alfonso. Taking to the sea at age 12, he joined the Portuguese India Armadas and the Portuguese commercial fleets as they sailed past the seven seas to the coasts of Brazil, Western Africa, and around the Cape to Madagascar and Asia. His writings talk of days lasting 3 months, and of a vast southern continent, the Terra Australis, and the Have La Grande, which he claims to have seen south of Southeast Asia, possibly suggesting he had approached the Arctic, by North America, Australia, and Antarctica. In service of France before around 1530, for some reasons, he moved to France putting himself at the service of Francis I. The correspondence of diplomatic agents of the King of Portugal and France, in the first half of the century, tried to clarify the causes of this change of allegiance. Gaspar Palla, a Portuguese diplomat in Paris in 1531, having met a man from La Rochelle to whom he requested information concerning the pilot Jean Allefonsce, wrote that he had been exiled because, when he was lost near the coast of Brittany hit by a storm, he had been involved in a quarrel, according to what was reported, with his own oldest son, that resulted in the death of his son or some man aboard, and that consequently he had been exiled and did not dare to appear in public, but it is a report by indirect testimony, and there may have been other non-criminal reasons for the exile. However, it appears that it was to escape the Portuguese justice for some reason. Jean Allefonsce left the country, later in the company of his wife and his sons. In 1531, John III attempted to repatriate the defector pilot because of his high qualifications and for his vast and possible classified knowledge. The king himself corresponded directly with Afonso, sending letters of pardon by his ambassadors and representatives and later exchanging letters with him in this attempt. By the 1540s, he was a renowned pilot, leading fleets to Africa and the Caribbean and reputed to have never lost a ship. André the Vet mentions a conversation where Alphonse described looting Puerto Rico as a corsair. It was long thought that the Rabelaisian hero Xenomanes was based on Alphonse. In 1542–43, Alphonse piloted Jean-François de la Roquette de Roberval's attempt to colonize Canada on the heels of Jacques Cartier's third voyage there. Alphonse established that one could sail through a passage between Greenland and Labrador. The crew of 200, including prisoners and a few women, spent a harsh winter on the shores of the St. Lawrence River, hit by scurvy and losing a quarter of the colonists before sailing back to France. During this trip, Alphonse described a land he called Nor Omega. In late 1544, Alphonse left La Rochelle with a small fleet and disrupted Basque shipping, while the Treaty of Crépy had just been signed between France and Spain. A Spanish fleet led by Pedro Menéndez de Avilés caught up to him as he was getting back to La Rochelle and killed him at sea. Some sources say this fatal encounter occurred in 1549. Works. His writings were published as Les Voyages Aventuriers du Capitaine Alphonse, 1559, The Rudder of Jean Allefonsce, 1600, and La Cosmographie avec l'esprit régime du Soleil du Nord par Jean Fonteneau de Alfonse de Saintonge, Capitaine Pilote de François Ir, 1904. In them he describes the various places and peoples he and others have seen, many of them for the first time in print, such as Gaspé, the Beadock, Saint-Pierre Island, the Jewels of Madagascar, a continent south of Java, and provides navigational instructions on how to get there and provides navigation